That was in Vietnam. I know right here. What I'll do is I'll show a slide or two. I'll talk about them a little bit, and then I'll click right on through. And this is Da Nang. 48 years ago, I landed in Da Nang as a young Marine. When I got off the airplane in the vicinity of this old airport, does that look familiar? It does. 48 years ago, when I got off the plane, there was grunts that was down out of the north with their helmets, their flak jackets, their rifles. They had full growths. Their hair was curled underneath of their helmets, and you could smell them 20 yards away. And when I got there, I said, what in the world am I got myself into? All of us did. We was all young Marines coming into Vietnam. And I said, oh my. But anyway, so little did I know that a few months later, I would be back in Da Nang with my helmet, flak jacket, rifle under a mosquito net. But this time, we're at a hotel with air conditioning. No, they didn't have that then. Okay. And Christians own this hotel. But I still had something in me that said I need to block the door here in case somebody tried to come in. Really? It just come out of it. And so we did have a shower. This was the most unique thing. I never seen a shower like this. But now the rest of the hotel, they wasn't rigged up like this, but it was still nice. Air conditioned. Anyway, this is the group that I went through, and I want you to keep in mind that the guy in the blue shirt was a Navy corpsman in Vietnam. The guy on the right was a Navy corpsman. He was an Iraqi veteran that was in Iraq. Of course, he's a Navy corpsman. He spent more time in North Africa. People don't know that, but I can tell you that now. Spent more time in North Africa seeing some horrific things. He had post-traumatic stress, a lot of issues, really bad, really bad. He went over complete atheist. He come back an agnostic, so he's on his way, at least anyway. But anyway, Mike Snook in a white t-shirt, 25 years ago, his wife left him. As a lot of veterans, it happens. Be glad, veterans, if you still got your wife that you come with, that when you come back and everything, most don't, because of certain issues that veterans get. And but thank God there's some wives that stick with their husbands through thick and thin. But anyway, his lefty, he went back to Vietnam, stayed drunk, but he somehow or another learned the Vietnamese language and got saved in Vietnam. Come back, now he's got his credentials with the AG. So you see how God works? And but anyway, the guy in the yellow shirt, he's with missions over the whole Assemblies of God. He was with 101st Airborne. Rick in the tan shirt with the hat. I got a story to tell you about him and me and the Iraqi veteran. And in the red shirt, Danny broke down on the DMZ and gave it all up. So I'll tell you that story as we go through. Now I clicked through a few pictures. They look familiar. I'm not near all the way. Okay. They got blacktop streets over there now. And roads. That's something we didn't have the luxury of when we were over there. Here's the story. This guy hops off his bicycle. This is in Da Nang. It's on the boardwalk. Now they got a boardwalk in Da Nang. He hopped off his bicycle. He ran over to me and Rupert Harold. He said, I was a VC. And I was a young boy, and I thought, you guys, he said, can I get a picture? I said, yeah. This is really a story about forgiveness, too. So as you see, we're thumbs up and we're smiling. This is next enemy. Bear with me on this. This thing's getting goofy on me. Anyway, now, they didn't have scenery like that over there then. This is on the boardwalk in Da Nang. There's downtown Da Nang. When I was over there then, it wasn't like that. Are you either? Marble Mountain. This is Marble Mountain. guess what they bring out of Marble Mountain now? They bring out marble, right? This is the other side of Marble Mountain. There was a Marine helicopter base at the top of this. People that have been over there, they know all about this. And there's a man back here, Larry, knows all about that. He was in the Navy, Marine brother back here. We're double brothers, by the way. Okay? That's what they bring out of that mountain. They're very artistic. I didn't say artistic, artistic. I brought back a little water buffalo. It was the cheapest thing I could find. They wanted to sell me a picnic table that was that thick and way big around. They said, "I'll sell you this." I said, "Yeah, I know you would. We ship it." I said, "Yeah, you ship that all right." You know, it's hard to tell them what it would cost to ship 4,000 pounds marble back to the United States. They try to sell you everything, you know. They were polishing it. That's another shot of Marble Mountain. This is Red Beach, China Beach, South China Sea. You know what I'm talking about. In 1965, Marines amphibious assault on this beach. Right here on this spot, that Navy corpsman landed on that beach in 1965 in that assault, and he lost a Marine who got killed on that beach. So we had our picture taken, and we never said anything to each other. It was a very silent moment. Every day that we would go through, it was like a strange nostalgia. You know, it was back and forth like a time capsule. We were here, then we'd go back 48 years back and forth, back and forth. He just went back 40-some years on this beach. Beautiful beaches. I mean, they have all kinds of, tourists that come in over there. This is on our way to Highway 1. At that time, there wasn't any houses and buildings on that island. I don't know if you remember the looks of that island or not. The French had this in possession when they were there, and then the Americans come in and then took possession of this hill. A lot of fighting on this hill. Still remnants of real buildings of bullets from years gone by. Up there, I had to jump in there. They still have little flea markets going on all over the place selling stuff. They're a little more, up to date now. They wasn't quite so then. But anyway, that's overlooking South China Sea and the Red Beach area from that mountain. This is the Centinela factory. They put the Centinela leaves in that, run it up that ball that it runs over down the other barrel and out. And then they put them in little bottles, and then they put them in new bottles, and then they sell them because there's a lot of mosquitoes over there. They burn that stuff. Now this will be a little more familiar on the way to DMZ up Phu Bai, Dong Hong, Kim Lo, that area. Everything's so plush and green. Blacktop roads. They've even got trains over there now. So all of this is, we're thinking, it's not like it used to be. Well, the contrast is so great. It's different when you went there in 1994, isn't it?
68.
Oh, but I mean, did you go back to visit? You went back to visit in when?
94.
94. And big difference.
Big difference.
Big difference even from 94, huh? This is in Wade. How many of you heard of Wade? Perfume River. A story about this, the Perfume River. I'm at the bowling alley. The manager of the bowling alley is telling me about his brother who was a brown water black beret that run the Perfume River, dropping off seals and dropping off people and then extracting them and bringing them out. And he ran this river. Before I ever went over there, we're sitting in the bowling alley for 3 weeks having meals together, talking about Vietnam, talking about things, and talking about the Perfume River, and he's telling me all about it. And then a few months later, guess what? I'm on the Perfume River in Vietnam where me and him talked about. And then when I got back, I got to take pictures and send them to him. He's a cowboy in Wyoming, and he really appreciated that. So we got to share about the Lord. I got to witness to him about the Lord. I just meet great friends. It's just a door opener where you'd be surprised. You can just start talking and start talking about the Lord. And this guy was over there in 1964 before much was going on, but he was in special operations, and he's a preacher now. So there's some that really turned out really well, a remnant that did, that's going out reaching out to other veterans and other Vietnam veterans. That's from the hotel at the Perfume River. They're on the Perfume River. That's the bridge that it took the Marines 2 weeks to take in 1968 over into the city of Hue. A tremendous battle. That's where the services pattern after this city house-to-house fighting was patterned off of this very battle that took place over a 90-day period. It's all beautiful now. It was a king city. It was the premier city of the whole country of Vietnam, Hue. And it's pronounced Hue, but it's spelled H-U-E. Zig and mopeds, and maybe the ratio, the population of the cars to the mopeds. There's more mopeds, of course, but everything was new. Mercedes-Benz right down to Kias. And whenever you cross the street over there, they told us, they said, just start walking. You don't go like that, hesitate, you just start walking, and as you walk across the street, they'll go around you. And I never saw one person get hit, run over. It's just amazing. Now we're getting ready to see a church here in a minute. This is in the Citadel, inside the Citadel over the Perfume River. And as we were coming out, there was church services that was fixing to happen in the Buddhist temple. And when they walked in, quite a contrast coming into this temple and then that temple. Because when they went in, they looked like they was mad at somebody. All of them did. They did. That's just the way it is, But anyway, we had to go. Come on, didn't say nothing. That's the Citadel also. Very huge place. A lot of fighting that went on then. Skip one. I'll go back for you. I thought I was in a Buddhist temple. This is a theater. So I thought I'd go be cute and I'd walk up on what I thought was the pulpit, and all it was a stage. I'm up there praying in the spirit over Buddhist stuff. And said, you're in a theater. They whitewash their trees like we do down in Walcott, our locust trees down there. Five-star restaurants now, five-star hotels. And when they would come out and set our table, it was unbelievable how they would decorate our table. Look at those shrimp. Mm-hmm. And they would carve out these birds and things out of different fruits. They just decorated our table up so nice. That's a bathroom. It's called water closet over there. I had to take pictures of that. Okay. Some of us. This guy right here on the right with glasses on lives 25 miles from me. He'd been there 3 times. He said, this is going to be my last time to go. He's 80 some years old. But anyway, from 1997 was his last trip. And then 2015, he said it changed so much during that time, he could not believe it. That I thought was pretty appetizing, so I took a picture of that. I did not eat that. I don't want I was particular. I got Zolly here in between two priests. Hey, I caught him. Look at him. Me and him become really good buddies. We're on the DMZ now. This is looking into what used to be North Vietnam. The guy that I told you about a while ago, Danny in the red shirt, was with the 101st Airborne. When he was over there, he got used to killing. He liked killing. He craved it. He hated it. He hated so much. But when he come back, it was post-traumatic or whatever. Then they just called us crazy. The people that went to Vietnam come back, they called us crazy. They really did. They didn't have post-traumatic stress. It's just, these guys are nuts, you know. I went to a ball game where I'm from, and I wanted to just see a ball game, the Polar Bears. I wanted to watch them play. That's where I went to school. It's where I graduated. I went in and I sat down on the front bleacher, and I sat down by an exit. That's one thing that we do. We get near an exit, don't we? Or when we go in a restaurant, when we come back, we sit with our backs to the wall. We never did have our backs facing anybody, did we? You know, and back here. Isn't that right? You got it. He gave me a thumbs up back there. But anyway, I hear this, hey Taylor, how many babies did you kill? That was my welcome home. And I never heard welcome home until 3 years ago, August 24th in West Cliff, Colorado. When I graduated, I was the first Vietnam veteran to graduate from Dave Reaver's program out there that he had. And everybody in the community comes out on Friday nights after a 5-day session. They come out with covered dishes, and then each one gets up and talks. By then, we're all talking. And then at the end of it, Kathy Wampler sings, a very anointed woman of God that sings. And then everybody stands up, 250 screaming voices, welcome home. 43 years after the war, I got a welcome home. Another story of a Marine over in Penrose that I stopped and talked to, and he told me, he said, I never said nothing to my wife. I never said nothing to my kids about this. We just go on about our business. But one night at the table, my little daughter in 1992 said, Dad, why don't you tell us something, you know, about what's bothering you at times, you know? And he said, he told his little daughter then, he said, you know, he said, I never got a welcome home. I never heard welcome home. Every year after 1992, she made a wreath for him that said, welcome home to her dad. Every year since then, he still gets that welcome home from his daughter. But anyway, all is forgiven. We forgive, don't we, Larry? Because we've been forgiven. The Lord's forgiven us. We can forgive and everything. But you know what? We can reach out to others because some of them, they don't want to give it up, do they? They just don't want to give it up. So the Lord is opening up people, you know, in the veterans, the Vietnam veterans, the Iraqi veterans and everything. If we'll just reach out to somebody and let them be led of the Lord, we can pull a few out. We can pull whatever the Lord has. There's a remnant in there he can pull out. But on the DMZ, Danny come back after the war, and he gave his heart to the Lord in 1979, but he still had that in there. You know, you can be saved and you can still have stuff in there.
Come on, that's right.
You know, we're not perfect. The Lord said God will perfect that which concerns me. He said he will finish the work that he starts in us. That must mean we're still a work in progress, right? Yeah. But we've got to be yielding. We've got to be obedient and willing to allow him to work in our lives. So Danny went back to Vietnam and with us. And on that very bridge, right there, he broke. And he threw his hands up and wept and bawled like a baby. He said, I give it up. He said, I'm not fooling with this anymore. I give it all up. Now me and Danny's on the phone every day. Paul and I, we're buds, aren't we? And everything. And, you know, we text each other. And guess what? This is so unbelievable how the Lord works. Me and that guy and Dan Dang with the Reaver Foundation, when we go to Vietnam in March, the Lord willing, we go to Vietnam in March. After that, we're going to Hong Kong, and me and Danny and Dan Dang is going to help start a church in the Vietnamese with the Vietnamese people in Hong Kong. Go figure. I mean, I'm from Walcott, originally, down on a creek someplace. But when I surrendered and I said, Lord, I give it all up to you, well, then guess what? He will work miracles in anybody. I don't care who they are. If he's working in me, he's working in anybody, if we're just be a willing vessel. And I know you are, but I'm just saying, sometimes we need reminded. I believe I said that this morning. My goodness, I need reminded where I put my glasses. I don't even know where they're at right now. But I need to be reminded. We need to be reminded over and over and over to get fired up, because we are living in the last days. Danny gave it up on the DMZ. That's the DMZ looking into South Vietnam. There's Rupert Harrell on the left. He was with the 101st Airborne. He was shot down 4 times. He was wounded twice. He's got 2 Bronze Stars, 2 Purple Hearts. Been back 44 times. He said, I'll never go back. He's been back 44 times. He's bringing everybody else back. Every time they go back, somebody gets blessed, healed, or they're saved. They come to know the Lord. It's amazing. See, God knows what He's doing. He reaches out. He'll reach out where we don't. That's a familiar face, and more so than we're used to, what we were used to seeing. Yeah, they want me to get on that megaphone there, act like I was yelling. That was their propaganda thing that they did, where they would holler over. There's Ho Chi Minh. Here's pictures of pictures. Hope you don't mind seeing pictures of pictures, but that's in their museum now. It's all a museum. People all over the world come and still hear some communist propaganda about that, how the war we lost and everything. Trench. This is the Gulf of Tonkin. Elephant grass that will cut you like a razor. This is an entrance into a tunnel. And I should have put that picture there. Now we're in the tunnel. So, we went through 3 of these tunnels. Under these tunnels, they've got a maze of tunnels all over the country. And they've got hospitals down there. They had meeting rooms. They had wells. They had bathrooms. They had their food stored. And when the bombs started dropping, the NVA, they'd go in their holes. And in other places, VCs would go down there. And they wouldn't be affected by it. After 3 of these, they said, we got 2 more to go through. We said, we've seen enough. You've seen one of these. You've seen them. We come out of there. We didn't want to go through them more. But anyway, interesting enough, I'll stop there just for a minute. In that tunnel, Rick from California with a tan hat raised his head up and skinned his head real bad, bleeding everywhere. Before that, when I first got into Vietnam, a suitcase fell over and busted my hand, and it was bleeding. The Iraqi corpsman veteran patched up me first, and then after Rick skinned his head, he patched him up. Now here's the Iraqi corpsman that's patching up 2 Vietnam veterans in Vietnam 48 years later. So that's one of those moments that was strange. Nostalgia, it just hit us. It just really hit us that, they took care of us when we were over there. Yeah, here we got this is going on. So those are things that happened. That was very, very strange. This is going down towards the end. They bury everybody sitting up like Buddha in these little burial places. The flag there, I've got to tell you about that. The communist flag over there for Vietnam is red with a gold star. And before I went, I had my passport, I had my visa and everything. And Brad Herring said, let's go up to Church for All Nations this morning, okay? Because that's where he went. So I went up mega church, and around the wall at the top of it is lined with every flag from every nation. We went down, and I wasn't paying any attention, went down, and right where I sat down, and when I sat down, I looked up, there's the Vietnamese flag looking at me. So I got a piece about it because I was still unsettled. But that's it. You know, you're going to go on. You're going to go on, go back. But anyway, I just thought that was pretty unique the way the Lord did that too, kind of confirming things, you know. Fruit, we thought, how, you know, I juice a lot, and I was thinking, how am I going to get, is there going to be any fruits when we get over there? That's all I got, fruits and vegetables. It's just amazing. I've seen daddies driving a moped with 2 kids behind him, the mama hanging on to him, and the little baby sleeping. And all of that traffic, like, you know, blind faith, they just went to sleep and all that. Now we're in the A Shaw Valley. A Shaw Valley was a very, very big hot spot. I'm going to sit on this just a minute here. Our cousin, Johnny Downs, with 3rd Battalion, 27th Marines, was in A Shaw Valley. A sniper hit him. The round hit him in this pocket here, come across, missed his heart, lodged next to his liver. He woke up on the repos, and they put the AK round in the plate that was in his chest there. And he woke up, and they said, "You survived it." 3 weeks later, he's back out in the field. The good part about this story is that when I was in Louisiana, and I found out that he had Agent Orange, we lost him 2 years ago. I went to the hospital with him, Dallas, big hospital down there. I went to Little Elm to visit him, and in his kitchen, I led him to the Lord. He received Jesus into his heart as Savior. Now, I go over there, and while I'm walking in the A Shaw Valley, what am I thinking about? I'm thinking about him getting hit, for one thing. I'm thinking about I'm walking in the same dirt my cousin walked in. But then I think back to the kitchen in Little Elm. But he got saved, and he's in heaven right now. So that was a blessing that come out of that. This belongs to Michelin Rubber. How many people have Michelin tires? That's their plantation over there. The Michelin plantation. She's directing traffic. This is down at the palace. And like I said before, Paul took the palace picture in 1970, and this is 2015. He's still got some of our equipment over there too. That's overlooking Saigon or Ho Chi Minh City. Kitchen downstairs, there was some old communications. Now, high rises, where they weren't there when you were there, or me either. These are all over the place, all over. I mean, it's just unbelievable the construction that's going on and what they're doing over there. But, you know, I looked on my Columbia gear before I went to Vietnam. I don't know why I did before I went to Vietnam, but I looked inside of it and it said made in Vietnam. No wonder they got high rises. They made a deal with our government. You know, we'll do business, but they also told them, okay, you give them religious freedoms.